What are we doing today, Tom?
Today we're starting our next edition, and we're going to be tasting coffees from different producers, different roasteries starting around Ireland. We're going to make them a couple of different ways, and then we're going to taste them and see how they taste. So today, Jeff, we're starting with Calendar Coffee. We're doing the Ecudorian coffee they have from Pichincha, I believe it's pronounced. Yeah.
So what do you think in terms of, we're going to brew a few different methods,
Yeah.
see what we get.
Yeah, so we're going to brew, I decided most people at home are using V60s or AirPresses. So we used, I started with V60, made a couple of recipes, and then I did a couple on AirPress. So the recipe I used for the V60s, I started with the regular 15 grams to 250 milliliters of water, and I didn't get as much sweetness as I think I should, so the recipe I ended with was 17 grams of coffee to 260 mils of water with your bloom, and everything goes along with it. And then with the AirPress I used a 14 grams of coffee and I did 220 mils of water. When looking at a bag like this, first off we're going to always go to the rear, and I'm reading what kind of varieties, how the process is, when it was picked maybe, and when it was roasted. So first off, the process was washed, and in reading this I know it's going to be probably a cleaner cup of coffee. With washed coffee it's not as well balanced. It's a little bit more fruit forward. You're going to get a really clean cup of coffee. The altitude is 1800 above sea level, so it's quite high. Most of these specialty coffees are grown above 1500 and go all the way up to 2200 above sea level. I didn't know a huge amount, I must admit, about Ecuadorian coffee, so I did a little bit of research. So Ecuador it's beside Colombia. It's just southwest of Colombia. It's on the equator. It gets quite hot and dry there. Most of the coffee, like in this place, it's in Pichincha. It's grown in the north of Ecuador. With these coffees, with coffee in Ecuador, it's actually decreasing because there's a lot of immigration to the US and Spain for work, so they don't have a lot of young employment coming through, so it's quite expensive to produce coffee there. There's about a third of the amount of coffee produced in Ecuador than Colombia, right next its neighbour. And the two main types of varieties that are grown there are Caturra and Typica, and this one is a Caturra coffee. So from reading the bag, Dan and Zara are saying that it's fresh strawberry and nougat, and you're kind of expecting that from a washed coffee. You're kind of expecting a fruity, kind of clean cup of coffee with a lot of sweetness coming through, complexity, and a kind of a floral aroma. So in tasting the 3 cups of coffee, I've actually found that the AeroPress was tasted, the 3 of us agreed that the AeroPress tasted the best. It had the most sweetness, which was the most surprising. This one here was the AeroPress. Just give it another quick taste. Yeah, so like sweetness straight away, straight on the tip of the tongue. A little like medium acidity there, like that. I think that's what they meant, a strawberry acidity coming through. Nice balance. Just loads of sweetness. A clean cup of coffee, really nice finish to it. That was the AeroPress, and then with the V60, I found the V60 was delicious. Loads of sweetness. As it cooled, it got sweeter and sweeter, which is delicious. Obviously a little bit more clean with the V60 than with the AeroPress. I really enjoyed this coffee. They're finished with it now, but it was a pleasure drinking it and brewing it.
So I guess it's a good case to show people that, just because it's the one bean, it doesn't necessarily need to be made the one way, that you can actually take the same thing and have a very different result through different processes.
Absolutely, yeah. In terms of brewing them, is that what you mean? Yeah, I actually thought the V60 was going to taste a little bit better, but yeah, the AeroPress turned out to be really, really delicious, and my preferred method of brewing is V60. Another way, which I think would be nice to brew it, is do it as a concentrate with the AeroPress. So maybe do make a smaller concentrate. You could do maybe 15 grams of coffee to 150 milliliters of water. That's your concentrate, and then top up to 250 milliliters of water altogether. And I think you'd have a really, really sweet cup of coffee there. I didn't get around to do it, but I think that would be another really good, juicy method of getting the best out of this coffee. So this week we were looking at Calendar coffee. Just a little bit about Calendar. Calendar are roused Dan and Zara out in they're roasting in Barna. So they're seasonal coffee roasters, and essentially what a seasonal coffee roaster is you're buying coffee when it's harvested, and then they don't want that coffee to sit for what maybe usual roasters would have is a year, maybe up to a year of sitting coffee. They like to roast it within the 2 or 3 months, and then it's consumed within that another 3 months once it's roasted. So they buy coffee once it's harvested, and it sits in the roaster for a minimum amount of time. That was Calendar for this week. Hopefully next week we're going to look at another Irish roaster. Perhaps we were thinking of doing Stone Valley next, but we'll keep you in the loop. It was really enjoyable tasting this Ecuadorian coffee. It was my first time tasting an Ecuadorian coffee. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward maybe to a few Kenyans and Ethiopians that are being harvested, that are being roasted now at the moment. So nice summer juicy sweet coffees coming through. So thanks very much. I've been Tom from Pangea Coffee, and of course behind the camera is
Treebark Store.
Hello. Thanks very much, guys.